I watched the cop show that you're in and talk about that.
Oh,
How did
gosh.
that came about? Because that could
Man.
be as a musician, but transferring your whatever the dream playing in kids, but
Yeah.
being on TV on a show, national TV, man. How would that?
Well, I actually backed into that because there were several guys on my shift at the time. Man, cops in Fort Worth they were just cranking episodes out.
Really?
And I worked.
What
in a
was
really,
it because a lot of action was happening in Fort Worth, or just
tons
was
of
this-
action. We were on, there on the north and east sides. There was a lot of action.
Yeah.
Yes, but I also, they had to get permission from these departments to film out
Yeah,
there, and I think
I think
they were at the time. The city felt like it was good promotion for them. Of
course.
And that's the only thing I can think because everything needs
because you-
permission before you go to TV, right?
right. And but the population, I guess, the community sees a lot of action, and that kind of gives a state for them, like, oh, we're working, we're doing stuff.
Too, and it could be in this day and age a negative stigma as well. I mean, a lot has changed since
Everything now
we're
is
talking about all
negative,
through the
man.
90s and yeah. Well, so I would just guys that were on my shift were happy to go do it, and they rode out with them all the time. And when those guys weren't there, Sergeant would pick out guys that are go-getters and workers and say, Broadwater, you and Blades, you're gonna go roll with crew today. I'm like, okay. So it was cool and I enjoyed it, but it was really weird because I just like doing cop work.
Yeah.
And it is a reality show. So, we made a number of arrests that never made TV because they wouldn't sign a release.
Yeah.
And then some of the ones that they ended up cutting up, we literally, one of the episodes that I was on, we were literally laying in the weeds, parked on the block behind the house that we were watching, and like crawled up into the weeds and with binoculars and watched them make a dope deal through the door.
Oh my God.
And then when they leave, we jump in the police car and go chase them and pull them over. And then the episode kind of picks up there. I'm like, well, that's not even the fun part. The fun part is getting your weenie dirty, being a little creative here.
Definitely getting in the weeds, man.
So I was kind of assigned to it.
Yeah.
Really. It ended up coming back to haunt me quite a bit when we get down the road. I don't even know if we end up talking about the undercover work, but obviously I ended up spending the vast majority of my career working undercover and then having 2 episodes of Cops out there with me standing out in a uniform when at the time you got to realize you had NBC, ABC, CBS, and Fox. Those are your channels. There weren't 2,600. There were 4.
This was like early 2000s?
Yeah,
When was
99 and 2000 is when they shot those episodes. 99, I think they shot them and they came out in 2000.
And
so
at the time, like, all people would do is watch TV or watch those shows.
especially in jail.
Really?
Oh. Yes. I mean, that was the hip show in jails and prisons because, you got one TV show, like Cops is a popular program for them.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. So, yeah, once, I spent a few years in patrol and then went and started working undercover. And then once I got really good at that, proved myself to where narcotics was willing to accept a white stiff, because they kind of want somebody that fit a profile for some of the neighborhoods where the problems were.
Right.
But I'd gotten so good at it, just the gift of gab and finding ways to get in and out of those things that I ended up starting a big operation in a particular neighborhood that was just held hostage by gangs. And I'd worked that thing for just as the sole deep undercover, full-time undercover work for 7-8 months at the time when this incident happened, because that whole thing was 18 months long.
Yeah.
It was a giant undertaking. But at about that juncture, run into this cat where by this time I'd made myself famous on the street. I was T. I had lots of money. We were buying kilos or moving stuff. And so small timers were coming up to me wanting to do deals. And I would always have to verify if they're gang members because I used drugs to get into the gangs.
Yeah.
Because obviously I don't look like a Crip and I was in with the Crips. So I had to find something besides jumping in and trying to be a gang member because obviously I don't look the part.
Yeah.
Then nor now, right? So
I don't see any tattoos on your face,
yeah,
man.
yeah. So my whole thing was making sure that if this guy's a Crip, I know he's part of this network, then yes, I'll even do some small time deals just to keep this thing going and learn a little bit about their Crip organization. We get into this cat's house. He's new, and I'm walking out. I got one of my other guys with me, an informant with me. We walk into the house, shut the burglar bar door behind us. We got a shotgun little house. It's just a little coffee table like this with one couch. The opposite side's a big screen TV. There's nothing else in the whole house except the dope and the gun on the table. And my informant and the bad guy sit at the couch and start pulling baggies of dope out and just having a conversation. When I hear a familiar voice on the big screen behind me. And
Shut up.
yeah, so there was every part of my body froze at that moment. When people ask, when you were the most scared, I mean, I've had guns shoved in my face. We've been, searched and doing all these different things. All that stuff you can prepare for. This freaked me the hell out. So yes, it was me on an episode, standing in front of the TV where I was standing there like a big white star, donning a cop uniform. And I had to filibuster. It's the one thing in the book that I couldn't write quotes because I felt like I panicked, although it ended up being something I survived, obviously. But I talked and kept thinking, man, how long is this freaking episode? I could have sworn this was only a few minutes long.
Did he notice or no?
No, neither one of them did. Even the informant that knows me real well had no idea. I'm panicking. I hear the commercial. I'm like, dude, we got to go. Let's get this, whatever. I didn't know if they'd recognized or if there was some kind of plot or if I'm going to make it out the door or what. And just panicked myself back to the car. And the informant's like, looking at me like, what's the matter with you, T? What's the matter? I said, you don't even know? You don't know what
Dude,
he had no idea.
Chills.
I know. He had no idea. So the problem was I worked another 10 months undercover.
Yeah.
Now that's in my mind. It's like, well, how often is that going to replay?
Waking up to success. Now we're getting it started. This is the real grind. Everything you've been wanting. Building an empire, no question. Talking about real estate, investing, making the millions. No stopping while we sip on gourmet coffee.